We see Lami's as a child, using her strength to catch fish with Halami. Halami thinks her parents will be happy, but we learn Lams gets into trouble for constantly breaking things at home. She suddenly stands before Boxxo where she thanks him for saving her, but we see she is just dreaming, telling him not to leave her again. Halami tells Boxxo that after he was abducted, Lamis kept looking for him and didn't even sleep. She mentions their past, revealing that their village was wiped out and Lamis lost her parents. Despite having her strength, she was too scared to do anything, and it became her biggest regret. Boxxo wants to do whatever he can to help her, and she dreams they'll be together forever. The next day, Halami decides to stick around in the village and Lamis heads off to do some work. Halami and Boxxo get approached by Sui's bodyguards. The man tells them that Sui will be coming to make a request from them, and he hopes that they will accept the requests. The men panic as they hear Sui approaching, so they quickly leave. Sui introduces herself to Halami and she asks for a favor. Halami wonders what she wants, and Sui explains there is a gathering of merchant families where they reveal their newest magic items. The organizer is a rival, Kana, and she gets mad even thinking about her. Halami thinks it sounds interesting and Boxxo agrees as well. They go over to the event and Boxxo looks around for Sui's rival. Sui approaches her and they pretend to get along. Kana checks out the competition looking over a Halami and Boxxo, but she is confident she will win. The presentations begin and we see the first participant show off his latest invention. He introduces it as a magic weapon that can transform. Halami thinks it's a good idea, but it turns out he is just putting different attachments onto a stick and everyone is disappointed.
Bruh.
After a number of other lackluster presentations, Halami starts to get bored. But it comes to Kana's turn. Her engineer reveals a robot claiming he has succeeded in the dream of giving intelligence to a magic item. Halami is shocked, thinking he must have put someone's soul inside the robot, and she notes that it's banned by the Magic Engineer Association because it's too dangerous, mentioning that a whole town was destroyed in the past because of it. The robot impresses everyone as it can follow commands, but it suddenly starts to go wild, wanting to kill everyone. The man tries to turn it off, but he gets thrown away as the robot blames him for awakening it. Halami orders Sui's men to help out, but they all get thrown away. Halami jumps onto it, targeting its magic seal, and she manages to turn it off, apologizing to the soul that was used. The crowd suddenly realizes who Halami is, and we learn she has quite the reputation for being a troublemaker. Halami claims all her incidents were from her youth, and Sui declares her victory over Kana. After some time, winter arrives and we see all the town's restaurant owners in a meeting led by Minami. They discuss the arrival of a popular restaurant and they worry about going out of business. Minami reveals Boxxo as their secret weapon and she bribes him by getting Lamis a discount at the end. We see the restaurant has opened up and they have a huge line of people wanting to get in. Lamis and Halami go and try out the food, but they find it's pretty average, thinking it doesn't even compare to Boxxo's food. Lamis thinks the food is bland and Boxxo thinks that it's because seasoning isn't cheap in this world. But this gives an idea. In Minami's next meeting, she thinks that they need to come up with a new menu to save their customers. They all bring out their latest creations and Lamis and Halami taste the food. They give suggestions on how to make it better while Boxxo transforms, giving them a sample of what it should taste like. All the owners rush to get advice and they become inspired by Boxxo samples. We see that at the chain restaurant, all the owners has set up food stalls outside offering their new dishes, and they start to attract the people waiting in line. The people are amazed by all the new foods turning out to be a huge success, and the restaurant ends up going out of business and closing down. As all the owners celebrate, Calroy approaches Boxxo. He tries to invite Boxxo on a campaign, but Boxxo instantly declines. Calroy reminds him how he helped out when he got abducted, and Boxxo considers changing his mind. But Calroy tells him to talk it over with Lamis. Halami thinks that most people would want the opportunity to join Calroy's group, and she wonders what Lamis wants. Lamis says she wants to fight so she can get stronger, but Halami wonders if she is after revenge, and Boxxo wants to help her in any way he can, turning into a flower machine, and he cheers Lamis up. Boxxo thinks about what Halami told him about Lami's past, and as spring approaches, the hunters will become active again. He wants to be able to protect her. He is suddenly approached by a girl, but she quickly hides behind him as the guards approach. The guards get some stew and his friend wonders why he keeps eating the same thing, but the guard insists it's his favorite. We learn that the girl is into him, but she's just too shy to make a move. Boxxo decides to help her out, transforming into a new form and giving her some vegetables. He gives her a bunch of other ingredients as well, and she realizes he is telling her to cook the man-favorite stew. The girl thanks him, and we learn they ended up getting together. Spring arrives, and it seems Lamis and Boxxo have agreed to go on Kelroy's expedition. We learned they are going to check up on the crocodile monsters since they are one of the 3 main monster factions in their area, and after dealing with the frog boss and the twin-head snake, they are going to check to see if the crocodile monsters have over-multiplied as well. The group prepares to leave, and Halami reveals she is also going, saying that the director hired her to perform an ecology survey. They head off, and Kelroy is glad to finally get out of the town. They are suddenly attacked by some frog monsters, but the group easily fights them off. Lamis wants to get involved, and she thinks about throwing rocks. Boxxo thinks throwing would be a good use of her strength, so he gives her a reinforced bottle to throw. She gives it her best, but she ends up completely missing. The group stops for a break, and they enjoy all of Boxxo's food. They are glad they don't need to hunt for their food. Boxxo shows off his new function, adding an emergency box, and it turns out to contain the parts of a portable toilet. The group thinks it's amazing, and Kelroy tries to take credit for it since he convinced Boxxo to join, but the group doesn't buy it. They continue on, and Kelroy mentions they are entering the crocodile's territory. He decides to send Akka and Sheer to scout, so they head off while the rest of the group waits. When they return, they report that they found a group of around 30 crocodiles. Halami mentions that a normal group is between 10 to 50, and Kelroy thinks that since there aren't an abnormally large amount of them, they can just leave them alone. But Filmina mentions that the crocodiles go for a high price, so she wants to take them out. Kelroy ends up agreeing, and they decide to rest up for the night. As they sleep, we see Halami telling Lamis to be careful. She wishes there was something she could do for the fight, mentioning the crocodiles are weak to the cold, and Boxxo suddenly turns into an ice machine. Halami gets an idea, wondering how much ice he can make, and we see Boxxo dumping ice into the river. The next day, the crocodiles end up all getting out from the cold, and Kelroy thinks this is their chance. He asks Filmina to create a fog, but she says she can't cover such a large area. They wonder what they should do, and Boxxo turns into another machine. He starts dumping dry ice into the river, and it creates fog over the whole area. Kelroy tries to take credit once again, but Filmina says Boxxo is more useful than him. Kelroy gets depressed, thinking he is useless, but they end up heading off to hunt the crocodiles. Hilami is left with Boxxo, and she explains her real mission from the director is to investigate the appearances of the boss monsters. They are meant to be quite rare, but after 2 of them have appeared, she wonders if something is going on. There is suddenly a huge crash, and the group comes rushing back. We see Lamis unconscious, and they are being chased by the crocodont boss. Kelroy tells Halami to jump on, but she doesn't want to leave Boxxo. However, he pushes her away with his barrier, and Kelroy grabs onto her. Boxxo transforms and starts making noise to grab the boss's attention. He upgrades his durability and his toughness, but he still gets blown away by the boss, and he loses 1,000 points from the hit. Boxxo thinks his barrier won't be enough. He wants to protect the group, so he transforms once again, and he shoots some fried chicken lunches at the boss. The boss starts to eat it, so he spits out a whole mountain of them, but the boss ends up eating him in a single bite. Boxxo finds himself inside the boss' stomach, and he notices his points are rapidly decreasing. He transforms into a laundry dispenser, attacking with Tide Pods, and it starts to give the boss a stomachache. Boxxo knows it's not enough, so he turns into a gas machine, and he fills the boss's insides with gas. He then turns into his heating mode, and he summons a can into his microwave. Together with some paper, he heats it all up, and he manages to start a fire. He shoots it out of his barrier, causing an enormous explosion, and we see Boxxo as the only thing that remains. The boss drops a special coin, but as he takes it, the ground suddenly splits, and Boxxo falls through the ground.
Michael, don't leave me here. Michael.
And that's the end of the video. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I will bring more excitement anime in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.